But let's take a look at some of these competing priorities that the new Prime Minister will have to face off with. We're joined by political analyst based in the UK, Musa Mdunge. Musa, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. Look, no shortage of issues for Truss to pick from, but the cost of living seems to be really top of the agenda right now. Everybody's feeling it in their pocket.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Kathy, for having me and your viewers. Indeed, the issue of cost of living is a huge problem for the United Kingdom. As we know, it is the case in South Africa and all over the world. And it is happening in a time where the UK must now face the reality of a post-Brexit world. And so Liz Truss comes at a time where many are labeling the United Kingdom as the sick man of Europe again, almost like it is going through a summer of discontent with high cost of living problems happening, the war in Ukraine, and divisions within the Conservative Party that we saw come to the fore during the contestation for the new leader of the Conservative Party. And chief among them is, how do you stimulate economic growth while dealing with the issue of inflation? And according to Liz Truss, the best way to do that is to cut taxes. And that will allow an increase in disposable income for all people. But the challenge with that, if her estimations are to be believed, they would have a £30 billion shortfall in the fiscus. And who then funds that? And then that raises questions around the UK's sovereign debt levels and whether it will then have to pass on higher taxation levels to future generations. The question is, what is fair and what is balanced? And that is the challenge that the UK faces.
Talking of the cost of living crisis, in all of that, of course, the UK hasn't been spared from questions around stable energy supply, but also the high cost of fuel. And she's speaking of those issues very specifically as being a target for which she plans on coming up with some kind of plan in the next week.
You see, and that is the very concerning thing, and this has really been what has defined the nature of the current, disunity within the Conservative Party, is that she hasn't managed to lay before the people of Britain a plan of action to say, how do you deal with the issue of the energy crisis? And this is the one thing that will really make or break her premiership, as we know that the UK is expected to go into elections in 2024. Will she suffer the same fate as Theresa May did, or will she manage and be emboldened in the same level that Margaret Thatcher was, and the kind of person that she has really esteemed to become? And that's going to be the trick for Liz Truss. But the first matter and the first agenda is uniting the Conservative Party. And you see by the result that she didn't win as large a margin as she was expected to win. And that shows clear divisions within the Conservative Party about the direction the party must take, and consequentially the country as well.
Of course, the issue around the disunity that you're raising in the Conservative Party is that, many have described Truss as being one of those leaders that's taking over, having been in the weakest position ever for a Conservative Party leader.
Indeed, she finds herself in a very bad position. Everybody's saying that, why would you want to take up this position? Because on the one hand, she's stuck with the reality that currently the British economy does not look in good shape. But at the other end, she needs to appease the Brexiters who supported her. You will recall that Truss was not a Brexiteer. She believed in the Remain campaign and campaigned for that, but then has subsequently said that it was the greatest regret to support that move. And do not forget that the image of Boris Johnson still looms large in the party. In fact, for her to have won this victory, it's largely because of the support by his supporters. And so he will loom large even in a future British cabinet. I would expect that there would be a role such as that of Foreign Secretary for Boris Johnson, given the popularity of his foreign policy, especially when it pertains to his support for Ukraine in the war in Ukraine by the Russians.
All right, Musa Mdunge, we'll leave it there for tonight. He's a political analyst based in the UK.